or me asking you all questions. But I just wanted to quickly ask the four of you to talk about the place that, your favorite place in the park, the place that, and I know you're going to say, well, that's like trying to choose between your favorite children or something, right?
That is exactly what I was going to say.
But you know, that's an acceptable answer, I suppose. But I think people would like to hear where you all want to go back to most when you're away.
Don't all jump in at once? Yeah.
Go ahead, Laurence, you start.
I probably seems like lately, maybe because I realize one of these days my knees won't do the job anymore, but I seem to be doing a lot of hard off-trail stuff. Maybe it started with that crazy hike we did, but I really like some of the really remote parts off and off-trail in the park, like top of Casa Grande or Cattail Canyon, or some of the sort of places you really don't want to break an ankle because it's going to be really, really hard to get out or have anyone else help you get out. But you know, the park in general is not overrun with people, but some of the really remote spots, you know, there really is nobody.
Inside any canyon on the river. And if I had to choose one, probably Santa Elena, just to be there and be with those walls up above you. And then climbing up to the rim, anywhere in the Chisos on the rim, just where you get those views that you can see all the way to tomorrow. And even on even when it's polluted, and that seems to be happening more and more, visibility is not as good as it used to be, but there's something about even the smog or the haze that comes in, just being able to see that far and to see ranges beyond ranges. It's hard to do. There's no easy way to do it. You can't take an elevator. You can't ride a horse anymore unless you bring your own. But if you can get up top, man, there's not views like that just about anywhere else.
I do have a special place that is down Terlingua Creek. You take the road down Terlingua Creek to where the road ends, and it's right up against the park boundary, and there's a little corner there where you can still see no lights, no houses, no fences, except mine.
Uh-huh.
I'll change my definition back to the Big Bend as I see it. And there's a place up on the 06 Ranch that has a pour-off real similar to the window, and it's not as dramatic a view quite, but you can see a long way, and there's no lights and there's no fences. The outside fence of the ranch on that side is all rimrock, and so it's my favorite place. And there, whenever I've ever been there, I've been usually the only person or with my own family, and that's my beautiful daughter back there standing in the back. Just duck down.
She just ducked down.
There she is.
Yes, Marcos?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I'm all done.
Well, then I'm gonna. I want to throw it open to questions. Yes.
Marcos was referring to aerial warfare and exercises and bombardment. What period of time?
That was
Mexican Revolution, wasn't it?
well, it was
1910
the Escobar uprising, like 19.
16 or
I
thereabouts.
was
wasn't
thinking
it?
11, but
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
you know, the revolutionaries there hired American mercenary pilots to drop pipe bombs on the federales. And so these American pilots, for pay, were flying along and with a cigar in their mouth, you know, dropping these pipe bombs. And the Mexican government got upset. They cried foul and insisted that the United States stop these American mercenaries. And so the U.S. sent the Army Air Corps down to Johnson's Ranch, where they set up, and they patrolled the river for these mercenaries. And of course, when they came up on them, they chased them and shot at them from the plane with their carbines, which really technically was the first air-to-air combat.
Other questions? Yeah. Yes, right here in the front.
Have there been any problems with any of the drug smuggling in that area?
No, they're doing fine. They're not having any problems. I will tell you what my perception is on that, and I think I have a pretty good perspective. I've patrolled the river for a long time, and I see the actual tracks in the sand. And I don't think that the contraband activity has increased a whit in the last 2 decades. We have got better at catching them because there are a lot more folks out there. Now, basically, the Border Patrol, they can just kind of hold hands, you know, reach out and create a human chain. But we have got, so they have picked up more. And some folks would say, oh, there's a lot more smuggling going on. But I would say, no, we're just catching a lot more of them now. I don't think that there was suddenly a huge spike or demand for drugs in this country in the last decade. I think the demand has probably remained the same, and the same amount has been coming across. But if you have more manpower out there, you catch more of them. All of that.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask you your favorite place.
Oh, my favorite place, huh? Oh, well, put me on the spot, huh? There's a couple spots on, I like the highways out there, actually, which is kind of crazy to say. But some of the best thinking I've ever gotten done is when I'm all alone in a car, just rolling down like 67, let's say, and there's not another car, you know, you're not going to pass another car except once every 25 minutes or so. And to me, there's just something beautiful about a 2-lane highway, especially when there's no other cars but me on it. So there's a couple spots, a couple bends in the road down there going from, say, Marfa down to Presidio that I go back to in my mind.
Lincoln's Profile.
Yeah, that's one.
Lincoln's Profile.
Yes, sir.
I was thinking about the comments that were made about change in the Big Bend and the idea of developing an environment, the economy there that would have good jobs that the people who are local would want to do. And I wonder how much change would the panel be willing to accept in exchange for those jobs? Seems there's a conflict there.
Yeah, I'll try to answer. I'm not sure we want any more, you know. That's another thing we talked about at breakfast, and Marcus had a great word for it.
No tourists, no nothing.
It's called the last
Last settler syndrome.
last settler syndrome. We'd like the door to close behind us. But we have a pretty stable community. We have a low, Presidio has a high unemployment rate, but Alpine doesn't. You know, we're pretty stable, and we have the university there. We have the college. We have 12,000 different law enforcement agencies, right?
Yeah, there's your economic engine
Yeah.
now. Is
Border Patrol.
the federal government, for better or for worse.
That's a big one. I am seeing that there is a lot of stuff happening out there. That, you know, there are a lot more people living in the greater Terlingua Studi Butte microplex area now.
Hey, you have a high school now.
I'll talk to folks. I'll be visiting with them at the Starlight or at the store or something, and I'll say, well, what do you do? Are you retired? Are you independently wealthy? What are you know? And I'm amazed at the answers that I get, and mostly folks that are working online. You know, I talked to a lady who said, oh yeah, I keep the books for this outfit in New Orleans, you know, and sure, I can do that. You know, she moved here from New Orleans, but they just send her everything over the internet, you know, and there's a guy who does graphic design for the automotive industry. There are all sorts of really bizarre jobs that you would never think of that folks are really doing online. A lot of people that are working out there, living on some remote little place out in the Solitario off the grid on solar power and maintaining the job that they had in San Francisco, you know.
I have seen a lot of that in the last 20 years, it seems like, with broadband accessibility. And it is the one part of Texas where you're seeing some population growth of small towns rather than a decline in population. it's the only part of Texas where small towns are growing that aren't right next to a big city where they're getting, becoming new suburbs. And the people that are being attracted there, people like you, Jake, when you came to work at the Sentinel, there's an amazing amount of interesting talent. I've always liked it, the fact that it's so sparsely populated, but everybody's got a good story to tell. And the art of storytelling is not dead. And I think you're seeing a lot of individual creative types where if you can live wherever you want in the world, that's an option now. And it's not the end of the world anymore. It's connected, and that may be good, that may be bad. I mean, I'm not sure I like cell service out there.
Yes, sir. And I haven't forgotten you in the back there.
Do you see Shafter development being a good thing or a bad thing for the area?
The silver mines.
Yeah, silver mines. I think what they're mining is investors myself, but we'll see how that plays out.
Okay, yes, there in the back. You've been waiting patiently.
I'll stand up. Texas Monthly that has continuing features over the years about the best hikes in Texas. And if you want to decrease the devils, quit telling everybody to go hike the South Rim.
It's fair enough, but see that we don't publish best kept secrets monthly though.
When the day comes that you have to take a number before you can get on the trail, I think Jake may accommodate you.
I actually go on weekdays in August when all of Texas thinks it's too hot to go. There's actually a little bit of a rainy season there.
There you go.
It's been wonderful.
And it's higher elevation.
Thanks for letting us know.
Sorry, what's that?
Question for Laurence. Sometimes when you look at your photography in Big Bend, and you're so happy with your photograph, do you still sometimes think that there's no way I can convey this space and what I'm seeing at this moment, no matter how good this picture is?
Well, I have to look at the photos after the fact to see what really happened. But I get back and say, wow, that was a nice sunset, wasn't it? But no, seriously, yeah, it never matches reality. I mean, you can have the best photo of the world of Big Bend or Grand Canyon, but it's not the same as being there and getting that three-dimensional feel and the sounds, the smells, everything. I mean, I do my best, but it's not good enough.
Yes, ma'am.
Wouldn't Dr. Nelson say that she contributes to the tourism in supporting the Cowboy Poetry Weekend?
Yes, she's one of my friends.
And wouldn't we all be glad to at least have a Hampton Inn and a new Holiday Inn Express going in so that we can get a room? And when we're in competition with the motorcycle clubs.
I'm so glad you came.
And really, you should address the Cowboy Poetry Weekend because it is one of the best things that's going out there that does not have people being sprayed with water.
That's true. There is not currently a wet t-shirt contest portion of the Cowboy program.
Yes, us crusty old rural women don't go for that kind of stuff.
Yes, yes, sir.
As a ranger, would you comment on the wildlife diversity in the Big Bend area, and do you get involved in wildlife management?
I have been involved in some wildlife management projects over the years, and I am just amazed at how things have improved there over the last few decades, you know. I was working with some folks from Mexico doing some bear surveys in the late 80s and early 90s. And what the guy determined back there after doing his study was that the habitat over there was saturated and that bears would have to leave and go to the Chisos. And 2 years later was when the sow was photographed with the two cubs.